Today, we will explore the question of the motivations behind the attacks on October 7th, in the company of Mr. Khaled Meshaal. First, allow me to briefly introduce this politician. Khaled Meshaal is a Palestinian politician. He was born on May 28, 1956, in Ramallah, Palestine. He was involved in the founding of Hamas, a Palestinian resistance group, from Kuwait, where he had exiled with his family before having to leave again in 1990. In 1997, while leading the political bureau of Hamas, he was a victim of an assassination attempt by Israel. 2 Israeli agents sprayed poison in his ear. This operation was revealed by the Jordanian intelligence services, forcing Israel to provide the antidote and release Sheikh Yassin, who had been imprisoned since 1989. In 2004, Meshaal became the supreme leader of the movement after the assassinations of Sheikh Yassin and Abdelaziz al-Rantisi by Israel. He is known for being an advocate of armed struggle against the State of Israel, while also advocating for the idea of a long-term ceasefire in exchange for an Israeli withdrawal to the 1967 borders.
As you know, we are on the 20th day and we are experiencing a genocide perpetrated by Zionist forces, who were defeated on October 7 in the Second Battle of Al-Balad, a military defeat on the ground. The Gaza Brigade, which Israel boasted about, responsible for the siege of Gaza, assassinations, wars, and aggression, has come to an end. It has been defeated and retreated. With today's military defeat, Israel is seeking revenge on children, marginalized individuals, and men. It is demolishing mosques, churches, hospitals, like the Baptist Hospital and Al-Azhar University, which have been bombed. There is nothing forbidden to them, especially when the American administration and some Western countries ally with Israel and cover for it. As you know, in previous wars on Gaza, Israel was given full permission for the first time to do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, as if the Palestinian people, these innocent victims, were the stage on which Israel wants to seek revenge, show its strength, and create a false image of victory. The world is watching this tragedy. Yes, some voices are starting to be heard, but they are still limited. It is the responsibility of the Arab and Islamic world, especially Egypt, to take an Arab-Islamic position that puts pressure on the American administration, Europeans, and some Western capitals to stop the Israeli aggression machinery and remain firm on the positions declared in recent days. But it is also important to implement them on the ground in support of our brothers in Gaza and in support of the Palestinian resistance.
But Abu al-Walid, you are definitely facing this enemy specifically on October 7th with this motto, Al-Aqsa blood. Have you prepared any scenarios for after this confrontation? In your opinion, what are these scenarios? How have you prepared for them? Yes, it is an important statement indeed. Before discussing the scenarios envisaged by the leadership of the movement in the Al-Qassam brigades, we must understand the circumstances that led to this operation on October 7th. Look, my dear brother, the Al-Aqsa Mosque has been under the government of Israel for about a year now, with Itamar Ben-Gvir, Avichai Adre, and led by Netanyahu, the most extremist government in the history of the Zionist entity. They have escalated their actions in violations and intrusions even during the month of Ramadan and the worship, vegetarian sacrifices, blowing of the trumpet, and all Talmudic traditions. And there are still animal sacrifices, the 5 red cows imported from America, in preparation for the destruction of Al-Aqsa and the construction of the temple. Unfortunately, temporal sharing has taken place at Al-Aqsa. This means that they have taken control of Jerusalem at several moments every day. There is the morning period, the period between noon and afternoon, and the period after afternoon, as the first point. Secondly, today the media announced that Ben-Gvir, the responsible for national security, similar to the Ministry of Interior, has gathered forces in the West Bank and Israel to suppress the Palestinians and intensify aggression against them in order to expel them to Jordan. As Smotrich stated in Paris, there is no Palestine between the river and the sea, so if Palestinians want a state, they should go to Jordan. And today, they are trying to achieve this expulsion during the strikes to force the people of Gaza out towards Egypt. Thank God. And let's thank Egypt and Jordan for clearly saying no to expulsion and aggression. This is the second point.
Thirdly, both you and the people of Egypt are well aware of Gaza and its people. Gaza has been undergoing a slow death for 16 years, relying on life support. Gaza is neither completely dead nor living a normal life. Therefore, with these 3 conditions and the presence of prisoners, of course, there are 6,000 prisoners in the occupation's prisons. it was the responsibility of the Palestinian leadership and Palestinian resistance forces. Today, we are talking about a people under occupation. There is an authority, a liberation organization, Hamas, jihad, resistance factions, and the Fatah movement. This is a shared responsibility for all. We had to confront this situation. Otherwise, if we were to abandon this scene, we would witness Al-Aqsa being destroyed and the temple being built. And that would be a stain of shame on the face of the nation when it sees its three holiest sites being destroyed and desecrated, and the temple being built. And we would also see a forced displacement in Gaza, through the crimes committed by Ibn Gafir and his ilk. And even though our people are resilient, they will not be displaced from the West Bank and will not leave Gaza. We saw Gaza dying and they thought that the people of Gaza were searching for scraps of survival. They do not know that our people love freedom, and that is why this step was necessary. Of course, as you mentioned, we know that the enemy, after experiencing this catastrophe that shook its existence, destroyed its morale, annihilated its security theory, and shook the foundations of this entity. The enemy already had doubts about how long it would live in the years to come, whether it would live for 10 years or more or less. This strike made it lose confidence in itself and its future. That is why the American administration and its allies in certain Western capitals realized that it was necessary to support Israel with all their might to protect its existence, because Israel is their ally, it is their aircraft carrier in the region, their colonial tool to subdue the region and prevent its unity, and to plant it in the heart of the Arab and Islamic nation. We know that the reaction will be significant, but we are being killed on all fronts. The attacks on October 7 did not occur in the West Bank or in the occupied territories in 1948. Despite this, you see daily killings there. Our families are subjected to emergency rules, which means that today, there are dozens of martyrs within a few weeks in the West Bank. There is violence, murder, and siege that are tearing apart the bonds of the Palestinian people. My dear brother Mustafa, our people are paying the price every moment, whether they rose on October 7 or not. As the poet said, if death is not inevitable, it is shameful to die as a coward. From there, you know that some people wonder, is this what happened to your people? I tell you, as someone in Egypt, whose history and struggle we know, that during the British occupation, there was a royal reign and then a revolutionary republican government. But during this occupation, there was a parliament and a very dynamic cultural and social life in Egypt, which was neither besieged nor in need. On the contrary, education in Egypt was a model for those who wanted to replicate the Egyptian model of education, as Japan did after World War II. Despite this, the Egyptian people were not satisfied with this life, they loved freedom, even with the 1936 treaty, even though it stipulated the withdrawal of the British occupation from all of Egypt, except for the canal. Despite this, the Egyptian people and their leaders insisted on ending this equation. The world must know that what is happening today has its roots in occupation, colonization, and aggression. And that there is no solution other than the end of occupation, colonization, and aggression. So that our people can live as a liberated people. Then, my brother, our people have tried everything. Our brother Abu Amare, Yasser Arafat, may God rest his soul, tried Oslo after Madrid, hoping it would bring us something. And Abu Mazen, too, continued the fight. What have we achieved? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. On the contrary, aggression and colonization have intensified. Today, there are 800,000 settlers in Jerusalem and the West Bank. The settlements have multiplied and become blocks and cities that besiege and kill our people. So, we have tried everything, and that is why Abu Amare, with his wisdom, chose the Intifada after Oslo reached a deadlock, especially after the Camp David agreements in the year 2000. He was martyred and killed by Israel. But he died as a hero and left an indelible mark in our Palestinian history. Our Arab nation is a great nation, and during the pre-Islamic era, our values were the absence of patience in the face of oppression, the refusal to yield to oppression, pride, and dignity. So how is it that now, within the framework of Islam that includes Muslims, Christians, and all races, we have become like this? This Arab nation repels invaders. We have defeated the Crusaders, we have defeated the Mongols, we have defeated modern colonialism. We have paid a high price in Algeria, Egypt, Palestine, Syria, just like other peoples in the world. That is why today's message is that we have shaken the foundations of this entity and we can rejoice because Israel sees its days numbered. It is true that it is an aggressive nuclear power, supported by the hypocritical Western world. But as a nation, we are capable of resisting. The Vietnamese defeated America, the Afghans defeated America, the Afghans defeated the Soviet Union. These are free peoples. The whole world is made up of free peoples. So, how could the Arab Islamic people not achieve it?